Hey guys, it's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I am back with another Black Series review, and this one is a very special one, because today I'm doing a Black Series review of Darth Maul's brother, Savage Opress. Now this is a figure that I and many other Black Series fans have wanted for several years now. I can't believe it took Hasbro this long to make a Savage Opress figure, but honestly this figure was well worth the wait. And if you pay attention to my channel, I've done most wanted Black Series characters videos, and Savage is the final member of my top 5 Clone Wars figures. So I can't wait to just do a quick review of this figure. And yeah, so let's get started. This figure is amazing. I love how they made him a taller figure because Savage is a force to be reckoned with. And he is massive. They did a great job on that with the figure. They even made his horns massive and that they stick out way higher than Darth Maul's do. And just this figure has a lot of armor detailing and just a lot of detailing in general. And I can't wait to talk about it all. So to do that, I'm going to take his lightsaber out and come back to that later. But I love all the armor detailing that they gave this figure. It really helps capture the fact that this is a Savage Black Series. Like, even on his legs, you can see how he has armor everywhere. And just, this guy is built tough. Anyway, yeah, I love the fact that we get a cloth waist cape around him, but then a plastic piece here of this mold for whatever, his symbol that he has on his, around his waist that's like a Night Sister symbol. That's really cool. As you move up the figure, though, you just get more and more and more armor padding and just all this great detailing to show how strong he is, because Savage is often overlooked. He takes on Anakin, Obi-Wan at the same time, but then he takes on Ventress and Dooku at the same time. Characters who both could take on Anakin and Obi-Wan at the same time. But yeah, Savage, I love all the detailing they did with this figure. Like, even on the back, you can see all that muscle padding and armor padding. It looks great. His shoulders, they actually did a really cool technique here of when you move the hands, they move on their own. You don't have something that's just flapping around there. When you move the arms, the shoulder armor moves with it. And that's a really cool detail, because usually they'll either have it that it's molded onto the arms and it doesn't allow much articulation, or they have these things that are really loose and you have to move them separately. So I really like how they figured out a way to make it that the armor moves with his arms. That's really cool. And then when you get to the face detailing on this figure, oh my gosh, they did an amazing job. So you can see exactly where the brown ends and where the yellow begins on his face. But then when you get to the face itself, just like how they do with Darth Maul, they did an amazing job here of capturing his species like face detailing, and that looks amazing. And then just like in general, this figure has a lot of great detailing throughout the entire thing. His fingernails are extremely long, just like in the show, and his hands are massive. I think these are actually a new mold that are made bigger than normal Black Series hands. They definitely are with the fingernails. And then just throughout the entire figure, there's a lot of detailing and accessories. He has a lightsaber hook loop like most characters do nowadays. And his lightsaber is tricky to find sometimes, especially when you're wearing a Mandalorian helmet. But if you can, it's really easy to clip on. And the blades can come off. I'm not actually gonna, because I'm afraid I'll ruin it because I can't see that well out of this thing, and it's a very tiny hole. But speaking of his lightsaber, one thing I love, and they actually got his figure to be able to do this, you can have his lightsaber in both hands at the same time. Hang on, 1 second. You can have his lightsaber in both hands at the same time. Okay, I know that was very awkward, but you can have his lightsaber in both hands at the same time. And that is awesome, because for Darth Maul's, they had to separate the lightsaber into 2 pieces. But with Savage, you can have the lightsaber in both hands at the same time. because his saber is thicker and longer than Maul's was, because Savage is bigger than Maul is. And I love how they captured all the detailing of his saber. That looks great, of how it has the black lines throughout the entire thing that go all the way around. The little hooks and points that it has, those look great. But they're not the only accessory that this Savage figure comes with. They also gave him his Night Sister battle axe that he uses to just shred through Jedi. And the axe looks just like how it does in the show. It is bigger than the figure is, which is really cool. And it's just an amazing accessory to give Savage. I'm so glad they gave him both the lightsaber and the axe. One thing, I was actually curious before this figure came out if they were going to do the metal hand or just the normal version. And part of me wanted the metal hand just because metal arms are awesome. But I'm honestly glad that they did the normal arm because it makes more sense. And most of Savage's screen time, he has both hands. He only has the metal arm for like that last bit of it. And that's another thing I like about his character. He's a character that's so cool you wish you could see more of him, but you know that with what little you get of him, his story comes to a good, satisfying conclusion. And Savage is just a really cool character. I'm so glad we finally have a Black Series for him. It was well worth the wait. I'm going to come back to the figure, but real quick, I want to talk about the box. And this is actually a newer type of box. I don't know if I've talked about it that much on my channel, but I'm going to on this video. So I like the wall art design. I'm a big fan of it. I've said that in multiple Black Series reviews. And I like how it was sloped. So basically the only difference between this and that is that the boxes are no longer sloped, which helps them no longer take up room. And I do really like that. I think it was a smart idea, but I don't know. There was just something about the old design that I really liked. It's not bad by any means. I just prefer the original. As a matter of fact, I can see why this is a step up. I just kind of liked the sloped versions that were angled and everything. I thought they were cooler. But anyway, speaking of this box, that is an awesome picture of Savage. They show what kind of monster he is and how he is just a force to be reckoned with. You can see all of his armor in there. You can see how his horns are sticking out. You can see his lightsaber, or no, that's his axe. You can see his axe in the photo. Up top you have a hallway from when he's wrecking Dooku's ship. That's really cool. On the back, you have the same picture. And something that shocked me, he's only number 19 out of Clone Wars figures. We're on like 30-something with The Mandalorian. And this is a figure that came out this year, and we're only on 19 for Clone Wars. We need more Clone Wars figures. And it's not like they don't have any they can't do, because we don't have a Gregor figure. You know what? I already made 3 videos talking about Black Series that we could get for Clone Wars. And this is just a happy video because we finally got Savage. This is the first time I ever pre-ordered a Black Series, is how happy I was that we got a Savage figure. Anyway, the box is amazing. Coming back to the figure for my final thoughts. As you saw earlier, I do think it can be a little tricky to get the lightsaber into both hands, but when you do, it's well worth it. It's really cool. I love all the detailing. This figure has amazing posability. He stands up very well, and even though he's massive, you can still pose the figure in cool stances. That I really like. Sometimes with the bigger figures like Zeb, for example, if they're bigger, it makes them easier to fall off balance. But Savage is not an example of that. I really like this figure and what they did with that. I love the inclusion of his axe. That is awesome. And I just love all the great detailing they did with this figure. They got all of his colors right. And I really hope we get more Clone Wars figures soon, particularly Gregor, because we need a Gregor, but not now. We're talking about Savage. So easily, you all know it's coming. 10 out of 10 figure. I've been waiting for this one for a long time, and I just finally had a chance to do a review of his figure. And it's an amazing figure. I highly recommend you pick one of these up if you're a Clone Wars fan, or even just a Star Wars fan, because Savage is awesome here. They even have detailing on his boots in that his feet have just the tips all silver and then the rest is gray. That's the kind of detailing they gave this figure, and this figure easily earned a 10 out of 10. And yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think of this figure, if you have one. This is Grand Admiral Thrawn signing off, and I look forward to our next encounter in my next video.